Hi, I'm Laura.
Hey, I'm Stefan, and you're listening to Attributed, a podcast library by Dreamdata.
The purpose of it is to store and share all the knowledge that we have gathered across Dreamdata employees through our LinkedIn Lives, podcasts, and webinars.
The typical topics you'll find here can be stuff like marketing,
Sales,
B2B ads,
operations,
social selling maybe. Hello, and welcome everybody to today's live session brought to you by us here at Dreamdata. As usual, my name is Stefan, and I'm super duper excited to be talking with one of the best content creators I know of, which is you, Brendan. Chris might be joining in a little bit later, but if he's not joining, I'm sure we can carry the conversation just fine. What we're going to be talking about today is what I probably would call one of the new kids on the block in terms of B2B marketing, which is this thing about utilizing creators, getting other people to talk about your company, getting them to produce content, sponsoring their content, borrowing their audience and when you don't have your own. And how do you turn all this attention that you can create through these creators into actual pipeline and revenue? And if there's anybody who knows something about that, it's probably you, Brendan, since I see you executing this playbook very well, consistently. But for those who haven't kind of started to follow you, I know there's more than 50,000 people that do that now. But for those who don't follow you, Brendan, maybe you kind of just talk a little bit about how you got into this position.
Yeah, so I I came up in the world of SEO, and I realized really quickly I wasn't going to do SEO about SEO. This is back in the day, so there was no way I was going to outrank Ahrefs, SEMrush, Backlinko, Neil Patel, HubSpot. There's like 500 huge websites talking about SEO, and I was like, I'm not going to start from scratch. So I did this little project called 100 Days of SEO, where for 100 weekdays, so 20 weeks, I did a YouTube video, a blog post, a podcast episode, and then I did a weekly newsletter wrap up of everything. It was a really cool project, but I just learned all this other type of content marketing just by essentially drowning myself in it. And part of that was also sharing on LinkedIn. And that has become one of the biggest channels for me in my business, but also one of the places that I have the most influence and I do most of my creative work right now. I've played with tons of other channels. I've thought about doing a podcast. I have a newsletter that's like 13,000 readers and stuff. But LinkedIn is where I do a lot of it. And that just happened, honestly, Stefan, just from sharing what I was working on. Yeah. I was inside of an agency, started building it in 2020. Then I shared, all my adventures being in-house at a company called Active Campaign. And now just sharing more and more on there, basically what I'm finding that works every single day.
Mm. And maybe to just get it straight. But your day job, the agency that you run, what is that?
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I also do other work. So I also run growth sprints where I help primarily SaaS and software companies scale from 10 to 100 million in revenue through content marketing, primarily search and discoverability, AI search, traditional search, LinkedIn, and newsletters.
How do you spend
all those like three loops?
How do you divide your time now?
Go ahead.
So sorry, yeah, Brendan. How do you divide your time now between like Brendan the creator and Brendan the agency owner?
I get to use any of the creator stuff I do. So let's have two buckets. There's like brand creator stuff, and then there's stuff for me. There was a really famous YouTube video back in the day. I forget the name of the person who made it. It was called like One for Me, One for Them, where it's like, I'm going to do one video for me that I want to do on my YouTube channel, and then one for like the algorithm or one for a brand or something. I try to keep that balance. Honestly, it's a chance, like the creator stuff I really like, whether it's with a brand or just like me posting regularly, because it's also something I do for clients. So I am my number one client. When you're a service provider, that's a really hard thing to remember, because it's so easy to just drown in client work. And then, you end up like not doing it for yourself. And that's kind of silly. So I don't, in terms of dividing time, it is definitely, Stefan, I always think like there's problems that can be solved, and those are things that have to be fixed. And then there's tensions that have to be managed. Like you can't solve a tension. And where we usually go sideways is we're either like managing a problem and it's like, just fix it, or we're trying to solve a tension and it's like, there's no way. I think this is just attention to manage of this constant like back and forth between client work and then also like my own creative stuff, writing my newsletter, posting on LinkedIn. So I don't have like a great concrete answer. I would say the majority of my time is definitely spent on client work, but one of my favorite things to do is definitely create content. Like there's so many days where I'm like, oh, I wish I could just like write my newsletter and just like peace out for the rest of the day.
Yeah, I guess you have to pay the bills as well with client work.
And I don't know what I would even talk about on LinkedIn or write about if I wasn't doing the work.
That is true.
So much of what I get inspired to do is, and now we can talk about systems of how I find that stuff, but like, or, think about what to create, but that all comes from the work. If I wasn't doing the work, I don't know how I would know what to do, what to talk about.
I really recognize this very well, Brendan, about kind of this thing about when we started out Dreamdata, we're kind of both responsible for sales and marketing. And I noticed kind of when I was just working the deals, the pipeline would run dry. And if I were doing marketing and creating attention to our company, the deals wouldn't move. So I do know that that pain quite well.
My wife is always like, well, what if something, what if it dries up or whatever else? It's like, look, if for whatever reason I end up with, I don't know how this would ever happen. I'm overbooked right now, but like, if for whatever reason I had no clients, I would have all of my time to do marketing. It would be fine pretty quick. If you just let me do marketing all the time and there was no actual like client execution or sales happening, we would fix that problem really quick. Like that, this is what I do. So I'm not too worried about that ever, but yes, there's like a juxtaposition between the two for sure.
How do you like as a creator, kind of, how do you kind of carve out time to actually get this stuff done? I'm admittedly on a little bit of a dry spell at the moment in terms of actually getting stuff produced. Yeah. How do you break through those kind of periods where it's just, fuck, I'm too busy with other stuff to actually get content created and published on LinkedIn?
So first thing is I batch as much as I can. I will take notes. I'm very good. Ann Handley has this really basic framework of just like noticing things. I read this newsletter one time where she was like, I just took notice constantly and notice how I feel about things and notice what I see outside. And I notice a sign that piques my interest. Like I take like my notes app on my phone looks like it's very unhinged. It's just the most random stuff. But I can always go back through there and be like, okay, cool. Here's ideas. The other thing that I do once a week, but sometimes every single day, at least once a week, I'll do it where I run a thing that I got from Erica Schneider called Content Sparks, which mines every call that I've had for really cool ideas of problem, process, proof, parasocial, these like 4 Ps. She calls it the MP3 or MP4 strategy. And like it kind of goes through and gives me all these like different ideas of things I could write about.
That's fucking smart. So like you analyze your own calls and then it tells you if there's content opportunities.
Yeah, like I'm not recording this, so I probably should have. Bad on me. But like yes, it'll give me all of these like neat ideas. And it's like, oh, I did say that smart thing. I did tell that smart story. I forgot about that. Because when you're doing as many, like I've had some weeks where I actually had to do this. I put it into Claude and I'm like, analyze my calendar, tell me how many calls I've had because it feels like a lot. And it was like, you've had some weeks where you had 17 plus calls. Like that's a lot. But it's good because now I have this bank of just like ideas and things to talk about. And I also notice themes of like every week, the thing is like, you keep talking about this and I'm like, oh, I should probably write a post on that, or that's a unique angle or whatever else. So I think it is the noticing the exterior world and then also mining the like interior work world as much as I can.
That's super good advice. And then kind of making sure you actually write the things down so you don't forget them. I think I've been in a period where like I'm busy and then I like here and there I spot a content opportunity, but then I don't get it written down. And then when I sit down and then open my laptop, oh no, I have to produce something. Then it's gone again.
I'm such a like I wrote down, I was listening to a podcast and I had thought about this. Sam Parr put out a really good YouTube video about like how to develop taste. And I've been so bullish on taste in the world of AI. Like this is the one skill that AI can't do. No matter how well, you're just not fronting it right. Shut up. But like, I don't think it can have taste.
Yeah.
Because like, and you kind of walk through, like, it's actually like a formula. It's these like different things. And I was like, okay, cool. That's really interesting. I started taking notes on that. Right. That was during a long drive for, I was going on like a field trip with one of my kids for school.
Oh, nice.
And when I was mowing the lawn the other day, he was kind of talking about something related on a podcast. And I was like, oh, neat. So I started writing it down. I literally have this half written post that I was like saying into my phone while I was mowing the lawn.
Oh, really?
It's so crazy. Or like, I have another note here. It's June 2nd, 2026. It says, post. Stop saying you're going to make your audience's life easier. Most people don't want that from B2B tech. We want our work to do two things. We want our work to be valid. We want it to have impact. Tell us how you help do that, and that'll get us locked in. Just said, I don't know if there's something there, but the fact that you said ooh tells me there might be something there. But I'm just like, it's that, it is that. And I don't expect everybody to mimic this, because not everybody literally watches the world through marketing colored glasses, but it is literally how I see the whole world. And I think about it constantly, and I love it.
The voice note, is that like, do you pull up like recorder on your phone and just like speak into that? Or
I just do voice to text, and it's sometimes really bad because it'll think it's the wrong word, and then I look back later and I'm like, I don't know what that was supposed to say, but it's normally pretty good.
I guess like nowadays most people use whisper flow to write it. You said a good plug there, Brendan, to kind of to kind of the overall topic here about how to use B2B creators, and like, why are they relevant as opposed to 5 years ago, 10 years ago? Why are they so relevant now?
Well, I think a couple reasons. Number one, I get exposed to, so I work with the team at Wishly for a lot of different things, and I've gotten to be friends with and exposed to all these other creators. So it's really cool to not only see what I'm experiencing, but also see what all these other people are experiencing. We spend a lot of time together. We all go to the same events. We all do these same things. I've made a lot of friends that way. So it's been really, really interesting and cool to kind of see like what their experiences are. I think a big reason this is happening is, number one, like B2B kind of often lags behind other industries, and they saw it be really big and really valuable for B2C consumers. All of these creators started spinning up their own brands and their own companies, and they see Mr. Beast doing food and like all this random stuff, or they see Kim Kardashian doing things, and it's like, okay, cool, creators can get people to spend money. If it is true in consumer goods, it was probably true in tech and, consumer tech, and probably true in B2B tech and all these other things. So what I think is like really interesting about it is, I think brands have kind of relinquished some of the belief that like people are going to trust their brand more. Their brand is more valuable than the humans, and these humans that people trust and they follow like are really good to have as partners. And I think that's one of the biggest mistakes, which we might talk about in mistakes, but one of the biggest mistakes is when you use creators as a megaphone and not as a partner. Like, you're paying this person who is kind of your ICP or has your ICP's trust, right? Your ideal customer profile. They trust this person, and you're going to use them to blast out some essentially product marketing AI generated cruft. And you're not also asking them, hey, what do you think? Like, it's free consulting. Be like, we're going to hop on a 20 or 30-minute call, and I want to know, what do you think about this thing we're launching? Like, is this cool? What are the angles here? A lot of us are also, selfishly, I'll say this, like, a lot of us are also really freaking good. Sorry, try not to curse. We're really freaking good copywriters. Use us. We will help with these things. Like, we like this stuff. So like, I think that what they're kind of, all these brands are coming around to is like where the trust actually is, and how to make sure that when people think of me, they think of certain brands, right? Like, I've had this on silly, but I've worked with you for a long time, right? And I love this, and it is very much like an ongoing relationship, to the point that if people recommend competitors to Dream Data in my community, people will literally go, sorry, Brendan. Like, they'll apologize, because they have in their head like, we're connected, right? And I think that's part of what you want as a brand, where it's like, people, you get that you earn it. It's not just like, we're gonna siphon it, or it's going to be a proxy for it. Especially when you work with somebody ongoing, it's like, look, like this is like, this is Martech, right? So like we all see the game, but I think that that's like a big piece of it is you want an ongoing relationship, and that's where the magic can kind of start happening.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of really good points there. I think if the creator who normally keeps one voice and tone publishes certain type of content, and you suddenly see them publishing like a corporate press message, like no one's going to believe or take that advice of that person. That just seems, we know
Yes.
that this is not you. You've just taken some money from some kind of company.
Which is, well, I'm happy for everybody. Secure the bag, right? Like I used to make no money as a very broke high school teacher. I'm happy for everybody to get paid and whatever else. I just think it's you're missing out. If brands miss out on a huge opportunity to
Yeah.
not let the creator do their thing. I think one of the best in the game at this is Sophie Miller from Pretty Little Marketer. I feel like everything she puts, she literally in the first sentence writes ad, or like it might be like ad dash, and then it goes. But you want to consume her stuff. Like she does things so well and so thoughtfully that I'm like, you have literally told me the first word is ad. I'm still watching this. I'm still reading this. I'm still going through this carousel because it's so good, you know. And it's
So you're not afraid of this, like, yeah, that's very interesting, Brendan, that you're not kind of like, you're not thrown off by it being an ad initially.
No, if anything, creators, people who follow them and trust them and stuff are stoked for that. We're stoked when our favorite events get great sponsors. We're stoked when all of that sort of thing happens. If your newsletter is like, hey, we have this new presenting, like, I'm like, awesome, that's great, good for you. More money to put into the newsletter, like, great.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's a downside to that sort of thing. The downside happens when it's, oh, here comes so and so, the corporate mouthpiece for some lame thing that we don't want.
Yeah. Let's go through some of the the marketing craft of like picking creators and like why you pick creators as well, which I think is kind of hopefully is obvious for some people, but still kind of it's a super important discipline of who do you actually engage with your brand and collaborate with. What comes to mind about like who should B2B companies be collaborating with?
Okay, so I think I'm gonna steal something from my friend Devin Reed. He has this like 3-piece framework. Number one is credibility. Like, are they just a person with like a big following, or do they actually know this stuff? Right? Like, are they actually and this is cool because you can find people with really small followings that are really trusted, that are great people to work with. So I think that's first. Sometimes you have, again, like people 500,000 million followers on LinkedIn, but they're posting generic memes or something else, whatever. They don't have that level of credibility with their audience. The second one is there's 3: charisma. Like, do they actually attract people? Do they bring the right energy? Do they have that right sort of like, I don't know. I don't want to say je ne sais quoi, but like you can tell. Like, you can tell when somebody is charismatic and funny and things like that. And then character. Like, are they going to, they don't have to be ride or die for the brand forever, but are they going to protect it? Are they going to do something weird or bad? Or are you going to end up having to ask them to take this promoted post down in the future because of whatever reason? Is there any risk to them? I think those are like, I've always liked Dev's framework for this. I think it's the right way to choose it. I think also is how excited are they about it? Are they like, yeah, give me a brief.
Yeah.
Here's a post, do a revision, we'll get it live.
Yeah.
And, cash some checks.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I get stoked about this stuff. You've seen this firsthand. I'm like, what if we make a custom graphic for this?
Yeah.
Let's do that. What if we make this up? Like, because I still want it to feel like my stuff. Like, I'm happy to post if a brand is like, here's an image to go with this. Cool. But I also want it to look like Brendan made it. So I might make my own. Like, you want somebody that's like wants to go above and beyond with it. And I think that's like the easiest way to tell is, are they excited about this?
Yeah. A way that definitely testament that I like to pick the people where I can like clearly sense that they know what they're talking about. They're not just randomly reposting whatever companies want them to do. The way I think about it as well is the Seth Godin Tribes book, but like really thinking about who is your persona and like how does their world look like? Who are the people that they are listening to? And then you would then pick out these people that you know that would have a lot of trust in their little niche of a world. And if you kind of just select like the 5 right creators in their little B2B marketing attribution world or content production world or finance or whatever you're in, then like if you really pick the right influencers, you can seem very omnipresent without actually having to spend a huge budget on.
Oh, absolutely. The other thing that's really cool is like figuring out, A, did they care? And then like, are we able to do something creative, right? Is this just like and there's time for big brand campaigns. Like, I feel like marketers get a little snarky about stuff. We're like, B2B is boring. B2B is boring. And then I don't know if you remember this, Notion did a huge campaign where they had everybody change their profile photo to this like Notion face, avatar. And everybody was like, B2B is boring. And then they try to do something not boring. And everybody's like, not like that. We don't like that. That's corny. And it's like, come on, man, you gotta let these companies try some stuff, I think there's that element too of like, are we down to like try some like interesting creative things? And there's a lot of like cool plays, which I'm happy to get into if you want to, but like there you can do a lot of like really interesting stuff beyond just here's a post this and let's see if it does anything. Because my best post I ever did I've been an advisor for Novatic. This is again that relationship switch. Like I'm not a creator for them. I do creator things, but I'm also an advisor. And the best post I ever did for them, I didn't even mention their company name.
Really?
Yeah, I made a post. This was again early with like product tours and interactive product demos. But I was like, hey, there's gonna be. I basically did an Andy Raskin old game, new game, and I was like, there's gonna be winners, and these winners are doing something you've never seen before, and here's 5 of them. Now I know that people are gonna go to the websites and look at the product tours. They will then see Novatic. Second of all, in the comments, everybody will go, what are they using? What are they using? What's Ramp using? It's Novatic. So, and I think that one post drove like 27K worth of ARR.
Sweet.
Which is not a ton of money if you're like $1 billion tech company, but that's a lot for one LinkedIn post.
Yeah.
Do. And I'm sharing that as an outlier, but it is, those things are so
absolutely
for everybody.
Cool. So we've talked a little bit about like what it is, who to select. Then kind of if we then change chapters into the actual content production, which about kind of how do we get these, what is the right content to get these creators to produce for us? Obviously, I think I totally buy into what you're saying about it has to come through kind of the creator's own passion, so to speak. But are there kind of like stereotypical things that works well to do in collaboration?
You mean like what types of content they should be thinking about creating?
Yeah, exactly.
So I think there's a couple ways to do it, right? Like the first is like see what they produce, right? This is the thing when you're selecting the creator. Like when I look at your stuff, do I like it? Can I point at it and be like, oh, can you do that?
Yeah.
Can you do that for me? That's what I like, right? We want it to match taste. We want everybody to be excited. We want it to be so good that like the whole team, the brand side, everybody wants to go engage with it. I think that's a huge miss. A lot of people pay creators and then nobody from the brand engages, which is the one thing you need on LinkedIn to show the algorithm like this is going to crush. So have a bunch of people come in and engage with it. But I think like look at what they already do and do really well. Choose your creators based on that. Do they do video really well? Do they do long form text really well? Do they have other channels outside of LinkedIn? Can this be a bigger thing? Could this be a LinkedIn newsletter, community, podcast? Like, can we go full platform? Can this person be a brand evangelist? Again, back in the day, I was working with Novatic, still am, but I made a post, or I was just like a general brand evangelist, and this is so weird, Stefan. I was reading Lenny's newsletter, super popular tech newsletter, and April Dunford did a guest post for it, and I commented like she made some part, and I'm like, and I was just like, oh yeah, I didn't tag them, I didn't link to them, but I just in the comments of Substack said, a lot of my clients use Novatic for this. And April was like, oh, it's super cool and interesting. Lenny screenshotted April and I talking in the comments, put it on his Twitter. Now there's his face, April's face, my face, and Novatic, 15,000 impressions on that tweet.
Yeah.
You want somebody who's a full brand evangelist.
Yeah.
So I don't just want somebody who's going to do a post. I want somebody who's a little bit like ride or die, who's like, wherever I am, I'm talking about you. Like every podcast I go on, webinar I do, I'm talking about Dream Data. People all the time are like, oh, marketing attribution, or they ask about all the other cool stuff that Dream Data does. And I'm like, I just am just in the comments, just being an evangelist, right? Same thing. I mean, you could tell I'm not trying to do it on purpose. It's just like I've mentioned Novatic a couple times today, that I'm not trying to plug anybody. It's just the thing that pops into my head, right?
Yeah.
I think that's on the question of what type of content create. See what they like, see what you like. Like if I had the privilege to work with Sophie Miller, who I mentioned earlier, love Pretty Little Marketers carousels. I think they're the best. I also think Sophie's videos are like one of my favorite things.
I need to go check that out.
But I would like to do a carousel, or and I've noticed that she's doing a lot more like branded carousels for events and things, and they're so freaking cool.
How much can you steer in the collaboration? How much can you steer kind of from a metric kind of point of view? Like, I want reach out of this, or I want engagement, or I want newsletter signups, or I want demo calls, or I want pipeline. Is that kind of the wrong approach to the collaboration, or is that fair to talk about as well?
I think if you want a deeper connection, it has to be a longer campaign. Like it's really hard if I've never talked about a brand, it's really hard for me to come in heavy and try to get you to give up your email or sign up for something, right? Versus like something like this is not a big ask for my audience because we've seen it. This is a cool topic, like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I think like that's I don't think it's unreasonable, but I think like, hey, if we're going to do this stuff, let's be a little more creative. Let's think bigger and let's think about like a good example would be, so for a LinkedIn Live, right? If I have your audience, me, Brendan, one of the things I can do when you add me as a speaker is go invite people. I think you can invite up to 1,000 people to a LinkedIn Live. Well, are there people you as the brand would love to have on the LinkedIn Live? I can invite them as a third party, versus the brand inviting them and then being like, yo, okay, cool. Like we're in pipeline with this company. We're in a sales conversation. They're inviting me to no, but like if they like me, it's cool that I invited them to the party.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So like, it's one of those things.
I was also just contemplating the benchmark report we put out. I think the average journey is 272 days. So like asking for
you are getting so many marketers not yelled at anymore. And I feel like so much of LinkedIn is like people write these crazy hooks, or like on day one, I would do this. And then every CEO is like yells at their marketers, like, why are we doing this? And it's like, don't be hyperbolic, because it just gets marketers yelled at. Whereas your work gives us peace and calm. And we're like, oh, the marketing cycle, we know the sales cycle 6 months, but for some reason we expect everybody to convert in a week or two from marketing.
Yeah.
How is the sales cycle that long, but we expect marketing is even long? It's double, triple sales cycle. Like it takes time. So I love the like benchmark report. Again, I'm the thing of like what type of content to create. Give cool source material to people to share, where I would share that anyways.
Yeah. I was just thinking about it as kind of in the terms of this, like a collaboration with a creator. Like you can't expect them to produce pipeline on day one, because like that would be completely off chart of what normally, like when you don't know a brand, you need to like hear about it. You need to gain a little bit trust. You need to start engaging with it. And then maybe at some point, 6 months down the line, you're ready to talk with them, or you actually have the budget, or you actually have the time. I think for a lot of brands, it's people are freaking busy, so they don't have time to like take on a new tool. So like, okay, I think I totally buy that, Brendan, that it has to be kind of a little bit a longer term if you want to see actual pipeline. I think some of the things I've really appreciated what we've done have been kind of, we've also in your community done webinars for your community. And there we're getting super much in front of people who might not know about us, but you as a creator, you actually you vouch for us. And those people, I think those people that take part of that webinar will gain a lot of trust in our brand, because Brendan says they are okay for my club.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is very much like, how much trust do they have? Who is their audience? Are they in there? Like, is it an active audience or a passive audience? There's a lot of different ways to think about it, and especially on like what type of content to create. Find somebody that indexes really, really well in the way that you want to promote it. The other thing too, I've noticed a lot, that a big mistake a lot of brands make is they don't treat it as an ongoing asset. Like, as much as you can, continue to promote that, boost the post on LinkedIn, continue to promote a webinar replay or a LinkedIn live, like continue to like get more people to it. You've paid for this asset. Let's keep it going as much as possible.
Yeah, good point. Like we actually we do that as well with your post amongst others, where we have a link, they call it matched audience, and you can literally just name your ideal customers there, and then we can put Brendan's post in front of these ICPs. And if you're more known than we are, then we gain a lot of trust by Brendan talking about our brand.
Yeah, and it's so native in the feed. I think it's like honestly like my favorite link. LinkedIn does a lot of things not very well. But one of the things they do well is those like thought leadership posts. I still think that's like something every single brand should be running. If I was early on and we were thinking about doing something like that, I would absolutely, if it was like, if I was a first marketer at a company and we had some budget for something like this, that would be one of the first things that I do.
Let's go straight on to that then, Brendan. Like if you are on the buying side of this creators thing, like how do you go to your whoever you get your budget from, whether that's the CFO or CEO, and what's the kind of like what's the request you're making? What's the business case that you're presenting?
First, I like to like lean on create like the real serious creators. They have their stuff together. Like I have a whole deck of case studies and proof points and examples and all these things. Ask for that. Ask for that to take back, right? And if they're like, well, I don't really have that, but here's how much it costs per post or per whatever, I'm good. I like, if you don't even have a sales deck for this, like this, you can't be that serious. But if you're getting people early, maybe that is some sort of idea. And you just simply ask them like, hey, can you export your, tell them how to do it. You can export your like LinkedIn audience and stuff and have some idea of who's in that audience. How executive are they? How in the geos you need them to be? Are they? Sometimes people have huge audiences and you're like, well, we don't sell in, I don't know, APAC or something. That's where 80% of your audience is. Probably not a fit for us, right? Or something, I don't know, like whatever. Or like we're, strictly a small British company. We're just looking to be in Europe right now. Okay, cool. Like that's probably not my audience, right? My audience is primarily North America. Okay, got it. So you can ask them that sort of thing to like figure out who it is. It's also helpful for them. They might not know it, especially if they're like new-ish. If you're getting people, that's also like one of my favorite things is to find the people who are, I don't like to say underpriced because that insinuates you're trying to like rip them off and not give them the full value of their audience. But somebody who's new and early in their journey, where you're the first brand that really is like,
Yeah.
I see this in you.
Yeah.
You could be really good at this if you wanted to, and I love your stuff. Would you ever do something like this? And now you have somebody who maybe they are a little underpriced, they fit your budget, but they're also going to be that brand evangelist going forward, wherever they go.
Do you think it's fair to compare like B2B creators with like alternative media outlets, like a newsletter or buying ads or sponsoring a conference? Or how do you think it kind of, can you do like apples to apples, or is it like a different beast in media buying?
I think the creator is unique just because it is a similar motion of like, I'm trying to borrow the credibility of this audience, of these people, of this whatever. Like I can tell you probably 10 or 15 different companies that have sponsored Exit 5, right? Like I just know them. I know who their newsletter sponsors. I read the newsletter every week. I know who the newsletter sponsor is because they've sponsored every single one. Every time I open it, I see the same thing, right? And that's great. But I just know them as a newsletter sponsor versus like, I don't really know. The thing with that type of sponsorship versus creator things is like, I don't really know if that person, that creator, that whatever really likes them or not. You know, like they haven't really created any media on their behalf. I'm not really sure what their take is or like why it's interesting. Sometimes like it does work, but it is a different thing. And to my point earlier about how I think about content with the discoverability, virality, and relationship loops, where you put your money, if you're in that what I would call B2B viral. With B2B viral is not like 1 million impressions on LinkedIn. B2B viral is every time I open the feed, I see you.
Yeah.
Every time I see you, every single time I open LinkedIn, this is crazy. That's what you want in B2B.
Yeah.
Those are the people. So like, that's just a different thing. If you see my face versus my newsletter logo,
yeah,
you're being associated with different stuff. So I don't think it's apples to apples, but I do like it when marketers think about it as like a whole campaign of like, yeah, hey, we're gonna work with Brendan, but then Brendan is going to Cannes. And we want Brendan to do something for us at Cannes.
Sounds like a nice trip.
Huh?
Sounds like a nice trip.
We'll see. I don't know. But like, or like, you know, Brendan's going to this other event. You know, we don't compete with Adobe, but Brendan's going to this big Adobe event. And like, I'm curious what he could do for us there. Or could they, you know, like be creative, like treat him as like a traveling brand evangelist and see like what else do you have coming up? Is there another way we can work together? Oh, interesting, like this and that, like do that sort of creative work is so, I find that to be really fun. That's the most fun stuff.
That is very good advice, Brendan, and it reminds me I should probably start brainstorming more creative ways we could work together.
Just consulting.
Just because I know I would love to hear your point of view on this, like AI, what's happening here for the future of us in marketing? What are you seeing changing at the moment? What's the glass half full for you, and what's the glass half empty for you at the moment?
Okay, the glass half full is there are so many creative uses for, like, I use Cowork pretty exclusively. There's a couple other AI tools that I'll use. They're tools that have AI in them, which I love. But I use Cowork quite a bit, Claude. And the thing that makes it so fun for me is when I get all these cool, I have all these MCPs from different things hooked up. And I love getting unique ideas like so I run my newsletter on Beehive, which I love. I'm not a creator for them. it is what I pay them money. But their founder, Tyler, was like, he put out he's one of my favorite founders because he's always like eating his own caviar. He's always talking about what he does with Beehive because he's a really popular newsletter on there called Big Desk Energy, which I think is corny and funny and very bro-y. But what he did was he's like, I hooked up the Beehive MCP. I had it do an analysis of all the latest whatever subscribers, the latest 1,000 or 2,000 subscribers, and see what companies those people probably worked at. And are any of the companies of them that they work at good sponsors? And then he's like, I then went in and looked at my best readers. Who are the people in the Beehive data that open every newsletter? They read every single one. Are any of them good sponsors? Imagine, like, I'm going to pitch you to sponsor my, hey, I noticed you read like every single issue. Do you ever want to get your brand in front of everybody here? Like, I love that stuff. That is a great use of AI. What is a terrible use of AI is then being like, I would now like AI to write my newsletter. Don't do that. We can use this tooling, but you have to have that taste in there. And there is some magic to like how you prompt things and the information you give it to do and create stuff. I use AI. It was one of the first things I said, like, I'm creating tons of content for different brands, but these brands are getting responses like, oh my God, I never read vendor newsletters, but I read all of this and it's so good. It's bringing back close lost deals or deals that went cold and booking new and relationship loops are not necessarily supposed to do that directly, right? So I'm really excited for the like research part of it. I'm really like my newsletter, I did a huge deep dive on Cursor and all of the cool stuff because it's very easy to dismiss Cursor and be like, well, there's nothing they hit the AI boom at the right time and they, right time, right place, right product.
Mm.
They didn't even hire marketing or salespeople till they were like a couple million in revenue. Like, what could we possibly learn from them, right? Don't copy these like unicorns.
Yeah.
But if you're willing to do an unreasonably deep dive, there is probably 10 or 15 really cool things you could learn from Cursor.
Yeah.
I use AI to help me find that stuff.
Yeah.
Help me research this. Find this one sentence in one YouTube transcript from 2 years ago that's really interesting, where he said it on somebody, the CEO said it on a stage at some event and nobody ever followed up on it, but I'm going to find that. I like using AI for that stuff. That's a great use of it. I don't love it when people are outsourcing their thinking to it or they're using it as a proxy for people. So if people are like, well, here's how to turn Claude into your ICP so you can just chat with your customer anytime. I'm like, the shit that marketers will do to avoid talking to people sometimes. Here's how to spend 3 days turning Claude into your customer when I could just talk to customers.
Yeah.
What are we doing? What are we doing? Like, just talk to the people. There's so much value in talking to the people and seeing where their eyes light up, where they go, or where they, where their posture changes. Like, I don't like it for using it as proxy for talking to customers either.
There's something I've started to notice with myself lately that I think that another problematic thing is that I can read so many nicely written, sophisticated things on Claude. But the moment I shut down the browser, I can't remember any of it. And I think it's very hard to internalize all this information that this machine spits out completely. So once you have to take that input and translate it into actual actions, which are writing a newsletter or calling a customer or going to a conference, none of that gives you any drive in actually setting forth and doing the things that would be good for you. I'm not super good at articulating, but the machine is so fucking intelligent, but that doesn't make your body and mind act and drive a result for your company.
Yeah, I think the cost of information was very low before, but now that it's being so spoon-fed to us, it is near zero, right? Like, the amount of information I can get out of Claude for $20 a month is obscene. It's so much.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to see a reckoning soon with the pricing because they're all losing tremendous amounts of money getting us to use their product.
And they're going IPO pretty soon as well.
Those prices are going to go way up. But I think for considering I paid for a long time, paid less for Claude than I did for my SEO tools. That was silly. Like, it should cost more than that. It should be at least $1,000 a month. Come on now.
Yeah.
But with all that said, like, I do think, I think to your point, like, there are so many times. The other thing I don't like is when I've noticed myself, I constantly have to think, like, is this helping me? Am I outsourcing my thinking? Am I avoiding my work? Or is this helping me do my work? A good example is writing. Is AI helping me avoid writing? Or is it helping me write better?
Yeah.
And I really want as much as possible. And there's some things where it's like, I don't have to, if I'm sending a recap email from a conversation I just had, I don't need to, like, whatever. But the problem is, to your point, if I go to Fathom or some recorder and I click generate follow-up email and I paste that in, have I internalized anything from the conversation? Because when we go to have our next call in the sales cycle, I don't remember any of it.
Yeah.
Because I didn't review it.
Yeah.
I just talked, clicked, sent, next. Versus if I go back through my notes and I read my notes and I look at what the call summary says in the AI, that's a good use, right? Using it for research. Then that's slowing down and being like, okay, this is helping me do it better. It's not just making me avoid thinking.
Yeah, and then you internalize that knowledge and you actually your own opinion about what was important at that meeting.
Yeah. And you
For
start
one-
noticing, the noticings happen. So in the week between those two meetings, I'll notice a bunch of things and I'll be able to bring it up. My brain will just naturally be like, oh, that's like what you talked about. Oh, they did say they were thinking about this. You should share this with that. And then all of a sudden you show up to the next call, like energized, and you got all these like cool ideas and stuff. And you're like, hey, this isn't even part of this engagement, but like, have you ever thought, well, you mentioned this, check this out. And they're like, oh my God, like this guy gives a shit about what
Yeah.
we're doing here.
Yeah.
Right. Which is
Cool.
all your audience wants. They just want to feel seen.
Yeah. Well, Brandon, thanks for being my therapist here on the AI.
No. I'm here
age.
for this. I told you, like, I love this stuff so much.
It's just so freaking scary, matrix scary, that like the brain starts thinking, should I do it or should I just get the AI to do it constantly?
I don't know if you've ever seen have you ever seen The Matrix?
I have, yes.
Okay, they did a thing a long time ago called the Animatrix, which was like a collection of shorts, anime style shorts about the Matrix world. And one of them, there were 3 in there, I think. They were called like the first Renaissance, second Renaissance, and third Renaissance. It outlines like how the Matrix came to be. And I literally sent it to somebody, like the first one to somebody the other day, of like when the robots start to become sentient stuff. And I'm like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Cool, Brendan. Before we end, just wanted, if we are to let's head back to the title of the event, like we create a playbook. How do you turn attention into revenue? If you were to kind of like just like do the crystallized one-liner on this topic for people to take home.
So I think the biggest thing is if we want to turn attention into revenue, we have to build enough trust and we have to make sure that people understand our problem. That's one thing we didn't talk about today, which is like content IP, naming the problem, choosing and naming the problem you solve. A lot of times when I talk to brands, I'm like, what problem do you solve? And they're like, oh, we solve agentic workflows for this, blah, blah, blah. No, that's what your product does. That's not the problem you solve. And all of a sudden you see people pause and step back and they're like, oh, I have been, like, they can't see the label because they're in the jar, and they have to you have to pull them out of that. So I think like choosing and naming the problem you solve, all of a sudden people are like, oh, that is our problem. Now, who do I trust to solve that problem? Even if it's a known problem, choosing and naming it still matters if it doesn't already have like a crystallized name. Then using creators to be like, hey, I want to make sure everybody associates this problem with our brand. If you're struggling with this, you buy us. If you're struggling with this, you buy us. Like, we need that over and over and over. And here's like some trusted, and we talked about all the different content things to do it. But I really think that's the path, is you just have to choose. And spoiler, this can change over time. There's also no risk. Stefan, like if things go bad, turns out nobody sees it. That's it went bad, right? Nobody saw it. Yeah. People are so worried about brand risk and stuff sometimes. It's like, don't worry, if this goes terribly,
no one will see it.
You're out. Yeah, you're fine. Right?
Really good.
So I think like be a little easier on yourself about it. But that is the quickest way to turn attention into revenue, which is get them to be the trusted source for solving that problem. And we can do that through creators really, really, really quickly and easily.
Thank you, Brendan. Speaking of creators, if where do you want people to go if they want to hear more about you and your work?
You can Google my name, Brendan Hufford, and the LinkedIn will pop up. You can also go on LinkedIn. I would love that. If I hop back over to LinkedIn here in 0.8 seconds because I'm chronically online and I see a bunch of connection requests from cool people from this, that would like make my day. So that's all. I just connect with me on there. And yeah, that's it.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Brendan. And to everybody who've been listening to us, thank you so much for spending the time with us. And you're very welcome to connect with me, Stefan Hiddebrand, at LinkedIn as well. And I'll be happy to answer any questions as well. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you for your time.
We hope you like listening to us. Subscribe to our podcast and the ones that we have been guests on.
And if you have any feedback for us, just do let us know. And should there be a guest that you think we should be talking to, then pitch us.
We're looking forward to seeing you.